What's up guys, and welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at another Stephen King book. Today we're going to be checking out Firestarter. Now this was published in 1980. It has around 426 pages. I think my edition has around 560 something. So let's get into this review. So this story, Firestarter, revolves around a family. Mainly the characters of Andy McGee and Charlie McGee. Now Charlie McGee is the daughter of Andy, and when Andy McGee was in his college years, he was looking for some cash, so a group of students joined up to some kind of scientific experiment for, I think it was about $200, where they would be tested with some kind of new drug. Obviously this sounds like a bad idea in Stephen King's story, so with the main plotline of this one is that Andy McGee inherits some kind of special powers from this new drug called Lot 6, and there's a bunch of people who all take the test at the same time and things do not go well for all of them. Andy actually meets his future wife at one of these, so she also is a participant in this experiment. The main plot of the story is years in the future, maybe 10-20 years, and they both get together, get married and have a daughter, and the way things work out is that the daughter also inherits some of the powers. Now this Lot 6 affects people in different ways. So the power that Andy McGee inherits is called the push, or that's what he calls it anyway, and it's basically his way of pushing a thought into someone's head to make it beneficial for himself. So for example, if someone was guarding a door, he would say, "Let me in," and the guard would then just let them in because he's had the thought pushed in his head that he should let them in. So that is his power. Now with the story being called Firestarter, his daughter, who I believe is around 7 or 8 years old in this story, she has the power of pyrokinesis, so she can muster fire out of nowhere whenever she's under stress, or well, whenever she wants to, I guess. And with her being such a young girl, she is trying to harness this power and basically trying not to use it, because every time she gets into a stressful endeavour, she ends up burning houses down or burning the kitchen down. Now while this sounds like a pretty cool idea with superheroes, they've basically got powers here. They're not superheroes, they're just normal people, but the people who are in charge of the experiments are a government organisation called the Shop. Now the Shop are some evil people. There's a lot of government conspiracy thing going on here, and they've been keeping tabs on all of the people from the Lot 6 experiments, and they realise now that with the powers that Charlie and Andy have, they need to really catch them and stop them from progressing their powers, or basically for them to try and learn more about their powers and do even more experiments. And so they are seen as guinea pigs to the Shop. And what entails is the Charlie and Andy and his family are on the run from the Shop. So that's the basic premise. That was quite a long talk for a premise, but yeah, I really did enjoy this book. I wasn't expecting too much because it did seem kind of generic, but you've got to remember this was written back in '80, so there wasn't as much sort of fiction doing this, besides obviously the X-Men and Marvel comics and things like that. But this is definitely a different sort of spin on that. It's more human and it's more a family character driven story, and that's one of the most interesting parts about this story. I figured it would be focused mainly on the character of Charlie, but it's actually the father is one of the main protagonists in the story, so it's all about him trying to rescue his daughter and make sure she stays safe. So we get a lot of his headspace on him trying to sacrifice basically any of his priorities to just do anything to make sure that his daughter's safe. They're constantly on the run from the Shop, who seem to be one step behind because of how smart the two characters are. So it's a nice cat and mouse adventure here with a lot of darkness in it too. Obviously with them having these powers, Stephen King's made a way for them to not be so overpowered, and the way that Andy McGee, whenever he uses his power, it gives him like searing headaches and even like starts to damage his I guess his blood tissues and stuff, so he can't use it too many times, and after he uses it he gets exhausted. So there's a lot of times in the book where they have to try and find a place to rest and hide from the Shop, so that brings a lot of tension to the story, because they have these powers but they know if they use them they have to use them sparingly to get out of a situation when they desperately need to. So there's a lot of tension in this story. So there's obviously a lot of stuff with Charlie and Andy, and there's a lot of just family stuff, and it's weird to see how Charlie's been brought up. Obviously she's had these powers since birth, so she has obviously had more of a sheltered sort of lifestyle than most kids, and only seeing her in the presence of Andy for the most part, it's a nice way to see this, the way their chemistry works, what she's learned as she's grown up, and just how smart she is and how she's had to basically grow up a lot faster than she would have a normal 7 or 8 year old. So that's one of the best things in this, is this the family bond between these two and what they will do for each other, even from the other side of the coin, with Charlie doing things to help out her father in her own ways. Like I said, the story is primarily focused on them, but it also focuses on the people in the shop as well. So we get to see quite a few characters from this government organisation, and a lot of them are not very nice people. Some of them you actually you kind of like. They're just trying to get the job done, but obviously they're doing a horrible thing. But as them as a person, their like morals and motives are justified in the way that that's what they are being paid to do. That's their career choice, and they don't really see the dirty side of a lot of the things they're doing. So there's lots of different characters within the shop, and we get the Captain Hollister is the one who's kind of on the sidelines. He's just following the orders and sending out the commands, really. Definitely the most interesting character in this story is the character of John Rainbird. Now he is this 6'9", absolutely massive native Indian dude. He has one eye, his face is all mangled from the Vietnam War, and he is basically a hired hitman for the shop, so he can do all the big contracts. And he's such an interesting character, just the way he works, because we get a lot of his sort of inner thoughts and processes and monologues about how he takes care of these jobs, and just his lifestyle is very weird. He has a house that's just full of shoes that he never wears. That's just one little detail about him, but he's definitely a very intimidating character, and I would not want to mess with this guy. And he's definitely the best part in this book, I would say. My first image of him, I would think of him more like a Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men. That's how I would sort of picture him, but obviously with one eye and a bit taller and a bit more scarier. One of the main plot lines as well with him is to do with his interactions with the character of Charlie, and how he wants to sort of get into a closer circle with her. I won't go into any spoilers, but he's very deceitful in the way that he portrays himself. So we get to see the way he's portraying himself to other people, but then we also get his facade. Behind the facade we see his real thoughts and what he's doing in these situations. It's really interesting to see just how much of like a snake he is, how slimy he can be. So there's a lot of themes of government conspiracy and what's going on behind closed doors, and just how things are taken care of, how people are just go missing, and what the shop is capable of, and how it's all covered up and things like that. So there's a lot of interesting things in there too. Charlie's powers are very cool too. For the most part she is trying to keep them hidden inside her. She does not want to use them, but when they do come out, they make for some very exciting scenes, very action-packed and just chaotic. There's another aspect of Andy's power of the push, which leads to some very weird and very actually comical moments in the story, where if he pushes an idea into someone's head, it's almost like they're being put into a dreamlike state, and often when they're thinking of this push, their mind can wander to other random thoughts, and it's what they call the Ricochet Effect, where this thought that they have to go through with can somehow be confused with something they've wandered off on their mind, and they just cannot get their mind off it. So it can lead to some very weird things, and it's definitely one of the weirdest things I've seen in one of the Stephen King books with one of the characters. I won't say any more about that, but just if you were going to read this book, look forward to the Ricochet moments, because they're both disturbing and funny. That's all I've really got to say about Firestarter. I really did enjoy it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought it would, especially with the characters of Andy and Charlie McGee and John Rainbird and the shop. So yeah, it's more of a close contained book. If you've read something like It and The Stand, it's massive. This is a closer contained book, just focused on the characters. But yeah, thank you all for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've read Firestarter, let me know down below what you think about it. Yeah, just let me know your thoughts, and I guess I'll see you with the next Stephen King review, which I've just started road work from the Bachman books, so that will be my next review. So I'll see you guys with that one very soon.